The following is a presentation of FNX Network, fnx.network. It's the Casual Mode Podcast with Jeremy and David. Episode number 1 for February 13th, 2015. Hello everybody and welcome to the very first episode of the Casual Mode, the podcast for the geeks of all trades and masters of none. I am your host, Jeremy, aka Shadowbird712, and with me is my co-host, my little brother, the Shawn Michaels to my Triple H, David.
Alright, yeah. Hello everyone.
Alright, since this is the first episode of the show, we're going to start off, we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit later properly, but first we want to let you know what the point of this podcast is. Like I said, it's the podcast for geeks of all trades, masters of none. It's a little bit of everything. It's going to be video games, it's going to be sports, maybe some movies every now and again, because I only ever get to see like one movie a year these days. And, yeah, a lot of different things. We'll have silly news of the week. We'll have a dumb tweet of the week. Maybe we might have some pro wrestling talk, because both of us started out in e-wrestling. So, yeah, that's what this podcast is going to be about. It's just going to be a couple of geeks having fun with various different things we're interested in.
And me trying to find something to drink because I am very, very thirsty very often.
Yeah. Well, I kind of am too. That's why I keep a bottle of water on hand. As for this show, we are planning to do it fairly regularly. We do have some plans for the show that we want to do down the way. Big things that we want to do with the show besides just talk about things. Maybe get some interviews in. I don't have one mapped out yet, but we might try to get some interviews in down the road.
On the road, I'm looking at about bringing in a couple of professional players of the online Pokemon game, and possibly a couple YouTube celebrities probably down the road. But that's like way down the road.
Yeah, we've got some people that we want to bring in, and we'll see how it goes. As I say, we are going to be doing this regularly. We discussed this earlier. David, let them know how much we're planning on doing this.
I'm looking at something about a weekly podcast for right now. Maybe down the road, we're looking at a twice-a-week podcast on video games and sports, and maybe even if we do twice a week, we can split it between sports one show and then video games one show.
Yeah, and we'll also have special events for the shows on down the way. For instance, I've been known for doing bowl predictions when college ball season gets around, and I'd also been planning doing stuff with the new college football playoff on a weekly basis. I'm going to get my big brother Robert in for that to help us with that. And some of the big events like Super Bowl, we might have shows for that. NCAA tournament, we're going to have plans for that as well.
And speaking of, we got March Madness predictions coming up,
yes,
very close. So
yes, we do. As for introductions proper, like I said, I'm known around the internet mostly as Shadowbird or Shadowbird712, or occasionally just plain Bird. I'm a former computer tech who unfortunately now toils in retail, but I'm really into video games. Like I said, I watch maybe one movie a month, or one movie a year rather at most. But I do watch some TV. We might get some TV show talk in, especially because I'm a pretty big fan of Power Rangers, and that's starting up a new season. My little brother, for lack of a better word, little brother in spirit, David here. Introduce yourself.
Yes, I am David Walker. Everyone that knows me online knows me by my user handle of Harpuya. It's Harpuia, not Harpyoa, which is how some people like to spell it. I am a former political blogger turned casual player myself about a year ago. Um, my interests include Pokemon. I run my own Pokemon group called Major League Pokemon, and they are a fairly competitive Pokemon group with their own league and set of tournaments. Matter of fact, we have one big tournament coming up this year in June, World Cup 2 Arrival, and talk more about that in the podcast as we go forward. So, and also I like wrestling, watching pro wrestling once in a while, and I'm also kind of a bracketology, I get bracketologist maniac, so I would absolutely love for us to basically talk more about.
Yeah, and also something that we might occasionally get into on podcasts in the future. He's also known for deliberately making various hilarious themed BCS busters in the NCAA video games, which unfortunately are now defunct, but it still might be something we might bring up in future editions during segments.
Yes, like the one that actually we put in the PS3, I think it was 2013, a while back, and they won like 268 to nothing.
Yeah. So there you are. You know what the podcast is all about. You've gotten to know us a little bit. Let's get right into everything. Starting off with video games. Alright, welcome to the first segment of the show, the video segment. And we're going to start now by telling you what we've been playing this week. I personally have been playing Fountain of Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. The reason for that is that I have a team consisting all of evolutions, with the exception of Glaceon and Amphion. I have a Miss Usagi. I have a Flareon whose name is Ray. I have a Vaporeon whose name is Ami. I have a Espeon whose name is Manako. I have a Jolteon whose name is Makoto. And I have an Umbreon whose name is Mamoru. Those of you who are anime fans may have recognized patterned with those names.
You cannot recognize my hand there. Just like no one can see me like that.
Yeah. In addition to that, I've also been playing Fire Emblem Awakening. I've really been enjoying that game. The last playthrough I did was to do two very difficult things. That is, let Crom marry Olivia, which is one of the more difficult things to do because you basically have to keep him from supporting anyone else until Olivia shows up. And then keeping Robin completely married until the very end, and the spot pass paradox where I could marry him to one of those characters there. What have you been playing this week, David?
Well, other than Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, which is pretty obvious, that's going to be on my list about every week, every podcast until the end of time. Mario Golf World Tour, I finally got through all the rules in one of the courses and managed to at least finish what seems to be the main story game. And I haven't played it yet, but I bought a copy of NCAA 14 on PlayStation 3 yet, but when I do, I'll probably play it. But I assume that it's going to have some collector's value down the road, so that was why.
Yeah, and also I downloaded these games off the eShop to play two of these, but since Club Nintendo is closing, they're doing kind of basically like this mass grand sale of stuff that you can use your coins on. One of the games I got is the Virtual Console version of the GBA Golden Sun. I downloaded that on I think I also got the insert of Mario Golf Virtual Console that again I have to download, and also the Virtual Console version of Donkey Kong for the GBA, which is one of my favorite games from the GBA era. If you're part of Club and you haven't already, go there because there are a bunch of games because they're getting ready to shut down. I'm going to replace it with something like a loyalty program. I have no idea what. Got what yet? But sometime for I believe it's end of June. Go get whatever coin you can, spend what you can, because there's a lot of great stuff there. Heck, there's a major 3DS game like Kid Icarus Uprising available on there now, which I've kind of been getting, but my circle pad's kind of messed up. So
one of my 3DS has been pretty much died, so I had to just use 3DS to transfer my games over. I'm going to need a friend I have a friend that helps me out trying to transfer Pokemon with myself. So,
right. And actually, it's a good thing you should bring up transferring data over because being released this week, Friday the 13th, gotta love that day. Nintendo is releasing in North America the new 3DS and XL variety, but they are released. I do not know off the top of my head what the price point is. Let me find out for you real quick. I really should have looked at our hand. Professionals.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I probably will eventually get one, mostly because some of the exclusives that are going to come out for every event, like a port of Xenoblade, a fairly rare Wii game that is also now going to come out on the 3DS. And also because of the aforementioned Circle Pad. Oh! It is selling for the same price as what the regular DSXL is right now. I imagine the price will go down in price. $199.99 MSRP for the DSXL. So that's about what I thought it was going to be. Actually, I thought it would be maybe a couple, like $20 higher because of the this technology in it for the regular 3DS. It's a pretty price for that. Also is Legend of Zelda Remake and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. I have not ever played Majora's. I did play some of Ocarina of Time back in the day when I had a N64. I hadn't played the demo of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, despite some problems with the aforementioned loose circle pad. I'm Smash Bros. The demo is actually pretty good. This might mind picking up in full once I get a replacement for my 3DS. Any of these strike you, David?
Not really. With the new 3DS XL, it's something I want to buy to replace my currently broken 3DS XL. So, considering that the 3DS XL came out and was $199.99, I'm pretty happy that this one cut about the same price. So I'm pretty happy about this.
And the reason why I mentioned the new 3DS XL in reference to transferring data is because there's a very interesting feature that they have available. They show video of it on their YouTube page, Nintendo's YouTube page. It basically new 3DS XL uses micro SD cards as opposed to the size SD cards. And in order to get at that micro SD card, you have to take a number 0 precision screwdriver. Sorry about that. Number 0 precision screwdriver. Hard phrase to say. And unscrew the back in order to get to the micro SD card. I could just have a micro SD slot on the side. I have no idea.
But, I'm holding a micro SD card in my hand right now, actually. So.
Yeah, and I can understand them going to micro SD cards because it's a pretty universal format now. Tablets using them, cell phones using them as well. I don't know why they didn't have a on the side, or maybe have a more easily potable hash back. But I transferred the game data from my 3DS original SD card onto a much larger 32 gigabyte SD card. It was actually pretty easy. It was pretty much really just copy and paste. Of course, that was just on the same system. There's also some additional procedures you have to do to set up the new 3DS for transfer and set up the data that's on your old 3DS to be transferred. Among them being when you do the initial setup on your 3DS XL, make sure you do not create Nintendo ID. because otherwise you will not be able to access the games you downloaded on the original Nintendo ID. One of the other key features, though, of the new 3DS XL is that it possesses built into it, instead of with a dongle like the 3DS had to use, near-field communication, which is the same thing that most cell phones use for tap pay kind of things, the digital wallet where you can just take out your phone, load in a credit card or a bank account, tap it on a reader, and will pay instantly like that. It is being used in Nintendo products for their things called the Amiibos, which are the little toys that basically have like a little chip in that holds data, and you can use various different games to unlock costumes. In Smash Bros. You can actually train them up as bot characters to assist in battle. Various different others are, of course, going to be having compatibility with the Amiibos. But apparently not a lot of people are very happy with the Amiibos, or not happy with specific Amiibos. This story is about this story is about a month old at this point in time. But there was this one person who originally who goes by the name of Daily Dose. He pre-ordered 100 of the Super Mario series Rosalina, or not the Super Mario series, the Smash series Rosalina Amiibos. And the reason why he did this is pure spite. He was basically trying to buy up as much of the stock of Rosalina Amiibos because he is mad at people who are fans of Rosalina.
And I am certain that that is exactly the reason why he bought so many Rosalina Amiibos. you can see the sarcasm in my tone of voice there.
Well, yeah, in his original interview, which has now been taken down, but if you look carefully, you can find it on the Internet Archive, he refers to several of the female Smash characters by various different epithets, insinuating their shall we say, lewd behavior, associating them with people who are into animated porn. For instance, he calls Zero Suit Samus Zero Suit Slut, or actually it's misspelled Zero Suit Slunt, which makes a lot of sense. Palutena, the goddess of light from the Kid Icarus series, Putitanga, and he specifically says that he hates these characters because, and especially Rosalina, because of the fact that there's so much hentai of them, which apparently the person's never heard of Rule 34. If it exists, there will be porn of it. But, putting all that aside, he went out of his way to mention that and went to links to insult the female smashers, that it makes you wonder what his real intentions were, as David said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if there were a Gardevoir amiibo available, that said person would likely, I would not want to know what they would do with it. Let's just say that I have one word to describe the condition of these amiibos by now, considering this is now a month old, and that is sticky. Yeah.
And also, it should be noted, and the article that's up now that we're going to link from the Mary Sue actually does mentions he has no problem with Peach, but he has problems with the other female smashers. Let's go over the roles of the female smashers that this person has problems with just for a second.
Well, admittedly, if you are not even if you're not really much of a fan of animated, if you're not a fan of animated porn, you're still, and find some kind of fault in some of these girls being eye candy. It's kind of very difficult to criticize Peach of all characters.
Well, it is actually kind of hypocritical, as I'll get to in a second, because let's go down the roles of the people he has problems with. Lucina, driving force of Fire Emblem Awakening. Palutena, goddess of light, the big good for much of Kid Icarus Uprising, and has direct control over a male character. Robin, the female variant of Robin, the avatar unit from Fire Emblem Awakening, again, driving force of the plot, and at the front lines of battle constantly. Zero Suit Samus. If you saw the E3 2014 tournament they did, if I remember correctly, the person who played as Zero Suit Samus kinds of plot. And besides that, Zero Suit Samus is the alternate form of the most well-known badass female in video gaming. The only difference is she's wearing a blue jumpsuit, rocket boots, and a pistol instead of an arm cannon. And I got bad news for him. These are all canon things that Peach has done. She has gone into combat alongside Mario and Bowser to save the Mushroom Kingdom from an alien blacksmith. She has snuck around a castle of enemies to make sure that she can help Mario defeat someone who has taken over the Mushroom Kingdom. She has taken matters into her own hands, and by wielding nothing but the power of emotion, saved Mario himself. She has again gone to battle alongside Mario and Bowser and Luigi to save all of existence. Oh yeah, and she's a pretty darn good kart driver, tennis player, golf player, soccer player, baseball player, basketball player, and she kicks ass at best of smashers. Oh yeah. You got owned, Dose. That was good.
Well, no, what I was trying to explain was that just the way that the characters are somewhat animated, you have Lucina and Palutena are far more realistic. I'm not entirely sure about Samus, but I do know that if you find the official art for characters like Lucina and Palutena, it is definitely more realistic than Peach, and even in Rosalina's case, is a little bit more realistic than Peach is. I mean, when you think of Peach, I mean, most casual players will think of the 80s style Princess Peach.
Yeah, whereas her more modern interpretation, she's actually taller than Mario. People know she's actually taller than Mario.
I actually knew that. Ergo...
You're right. I take that back. It's not exactly uncommon knowledge because of the cutscenes in the recent video games from 64 on.
Yeah, Super Mario Legend of the Seven Stars. And
she's taller than Mario. And by the way, one of her most noted weapons in Smash is her butt.
Well, I don't know what.
There's got to be a lot. There got a lot of muscle back there. If you talk about
well, that or the frying pan in the said game that I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, her best weapon is actually a war fan, but if you go into Japanese culture, it's actually a pretty big history of that. But let's not go into that. Speaking of Princess Peach and the times that she actually has been kidnapped, February 12th is actually the 25th anniversary of one of my favorite games of all time, Super Mario Bros. 3. It is one of the first video games I ever played, certainly the video game I ever beat, and I freaking love it.
I have no comment on this. I was not able to play many Nintendo and Super Nintendo games as a child, so I was like Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue when I was 12, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, and honestly, it's amazing some of the things that my parents let do when I was especially getting given shared childhood heritage and some things that Dave and I have. That is a long story and not for this podcast.
Well, again, you had your Super Mario Bros. 3, I had my Wolfenstein, so.
Yeah. All right. That's going to be it for the video game news of the week. Again, May releases this week are the new 3DS XL, the remake of Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Check those out. We'll be right back in just a little bit, where we are going to talk a little bit more about Major League Pokemon. Alright, welcome back everyone. We decided to take this time to give you kind of a little introduction to David's Major League Pokemon that he's got going. Kind of me interviewing my co-host. I figured that would be the best thing to do for this first episode. So, David, why don't you tell us a little bit about how Major League Pokemon came to be?
Alright, well, it's kind of funny actually. I was doing a giveaway on one of the many Facebook giveaway sites that there are on Facebook, obviously. And I created a big giveaway with, I think you guys was 4 or 5 Pokemon. And 16 people signed up for it. And the 16 people that signed up had a lot of fun in the tournament where we all hung out and talked with each other. And we decided we formed a group. And Major League Pokemon was born. I came up with the name mainly because someone had mentioned that, many of the players were very competitive, and they wanted a name that sounded catchy, and there was a Major League naming, Major League Baseball, Major League blah, 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 soccer, or whatever. So I thought, well, there's no, Major League Pokemon name out there that's being used, so it's like, well, why not? Then someone had mentioned to me that the initials, MLP, actually stand for something else, mostly involving that of the equestrian variety that I do not wish to talk about. And so we later on change initials of it to MLPKMN, because anyone that knows Pokemon knows PKMN is an alternate initial for Pokemon, and that's how we're doing right now. We've been around for 5 months, and we have we're fairly small right now, at about 130 members, but our network is almost about 1,500 members right now.
All right. How is it that Major Pokemon works? How do you set up tournaments? How do you set up battles and kind of the hierarchy things?
Well, other than somebody just makes an open challenge to battle somebody right now, and they exchange friend codes, and they battle through the 3DS or 3DS XL, and needing a copy of Pokemon X, Y, Omega Ruby, or Alpha Sapphire. Other than that, we have the 2 ways that people can compete for the championship. We have the tournament mode, where we have a tournament 4 times a year, and if you win the tournament, then you are eligible to face a champion. The other way is the normal Battle League way, which you go through 8 badges, and you challenge the Elite Four, and once you have gone through your 8 badges and challenged the Elite Four, then you are the challenger to face the champion. Now, when you battle a champion, it's held at a special event that is then scheduled for a date, usually somewhere between 3 days to 1 week after that person has achieved that challenger status. And a few more matches are then added on to it in order to try to gain rated status and try to gain some reputation amongst the group.
Okay. And it's pretty well known by people who are into competitive Pokemon that the current metagame is largely based on the website Smogon. What's Major League Pokemon's relationship to the Smogon metagame?
Well, when we started, we had a gigantic Smogon backlash. That was sort of unfortunate, actually, because we started right around the time that Aegislash was banned, and Aegislash was by far the most controversial Pokemon that has been in this generation. because I believe that it got like literally 61% of the vote and 60% was needed in order to ban a Pokemon. So it was a very, very close vote, and it caused a lot of controversy amongst players. And if you have to a YouTube channel, just look up, Smogon, and look at the comments section. You'll find many people had quit Smogon because of that. So we started with a very relaxed Smogon format. We allowed Pokemon like Aegislash, like Blaziken, like now like Greninja, but we also had Mega Mawile, Mega Kangaskhan, and other Pokemon like that we did allow. And then, of course, we allowed even more Pokemon. We had a set goal, a set base, basically. And what we did was any legendary base stat total over 600 was banned immediately. And any legendary Pokemon with a base stat total that is at 600, then we looked at it on a case-by-case basis, and if that Pokemon was too powerful, we threw it out. How we started out, it seemed fair at the time. Now, with the new Interleague network coming in, where we now are bringing in different regions, different groups over, and we're turning Major League Pokemon into an Interleague network, making our Interleague tournaments Smogon OU just out of pure necessity. That is the only set of strict and well-known rules out there for single battling. There is a T for doubles battling, but for singles battling, there's only Smogon. So we are going under Smogon rules because of that. And it's causing a little bit of controversy right now amongst the crowd. But I think that people realize that, until there's an alternative, there's not really much of a choice.
Okay. You said Smogon, or you said Major Pokemon, rather, is becoming kind of an interleague. What are the various different, for lack of a better term, regions that are involved with Major League Pokemon right now?
Well, right now we have 4 regions that are around. We're hoping to get as many as 8 available. We have the original Major League Pokemon region, which has now been newly christened as the Zircon region. We have the Pokemon Nebula region, which is at the oldest by far of the regions that we currently have. We have the Pokemon Priority League, and we have the Pokemon Hoenn League. Yes, that's based off the Hoenn anime, but they are a very tough battle league. Do not let the name fool you.
Okay. You've been around for a while. Major League Pokemon has been around for a while. What kind of interesting stories would you like to tell from Major League Pokemon so far?
I can't really think of many interesting stories right off the top of my head. I'll have to probably get back to you on that, on a couple of those. But so far, the only thing I can think of is that many of us have been going out to other regions, and we've been challenging certain regions. And actually, the current champion right now, Alex Carlo, and I have talked about this. I told him that we should probably get like some sponsor stickers, like on our Pokeballs or something, like they do in UFC, where they put the brand logos on the trunks. And when we go out there and we represent our group and we go and dominate a region, Alex is doing very well in the extremely tough and extremely competitive Xenos region. He is already halfway through the Elite Four in that region, and it is a very tough region. I recommend to anyone who wants a good battle. And I am 5 badges into the Ambior region right now. And speaking of, I say hi to the fairy gym leader over there, Isabel Brundell, who I met yesterday. Hello.
So, what future plans do you have for Major League Pokemon?
Well, we do have a couple tournaments coming up. We have the March tournament, which is going to be if you ever watched the show Yu-Gi-Oh! And seen the Duelist Kingdom, like this is like the very, very, very early Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode. You're gonna have to go way back to like 99, maybe even earlier.
All on Hulu.
Yeah, the first, I would say the first, like, what is it? 13? Is it 13 or 13 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, the Duelist.
Yeah. The very first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters.
Run exactly like that, except instead of star chips, you name them points, and instead of starting with 2, you start with 3. We don't really have a name for the tournament yet, and the registration will begin for that tournament sometime this weekend. And then, of course, big one in early June, World Cup 2 arrival. We already have 15 committed to this, and it does not start until March 1st. This one will be held in June 5th, and it is going to be a much larger version of the giveaway tournament, which was the original World Cup that we had. I'm going to try to make this an event, so people who may have lost in the beginning battle and consolation tournaments that will be held throughout the event. It'll be held from June 5th to June 30th. So if you are interested, then you can just contact me on Facebook or go to facebook.com/group/Major League Pokemon for times and dates.
All right. There may be some people who might be interested in this who don't have Facebook. Or do you have any plans of expanding out from Facebook?
Yes, I'm actually in the process of programming a system right now, and it should be under alpha testing in about 2 weeks. And this system is going to allow people who don't have Facebook, such as, of course, my big brother, so that they can have access to the same Major League Pokemon experience without needing Facebook. I noticed that much of the younger crowd no longer uses Facebook, so in case Facebook does start a decline sometime down the medium future, Major League Pokemon will not be declining with them. So.
Yeah, like you said, once he gets that expanding, I'm actually planning on getting in with Major League Pokemon myself. We have my team that I affectionately refer to as the Sailors and Chivis that I mentioned earlier. Because, what can I say? I really, really love Eevees.
You should probably check for the Eevee gym leader. We don't have an Eevee gym leader yet for these.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. All right, thank you so much for telling us a little bit more like Major League Pokemon. Again, if you're interested in Major League Pokemon, the link on Facebook is?
It's www.facebook.com/groups. You know, the /groups/ word Major League Pokemon. It's all one word.
All right. Moving from Major League Pokemon, we'll be moving on to Major League Sports, as well as some college sports, when we return. Welcome back to Casual Mode, and this part of the show where we get to talk about sports. Don't really get to watch sports a whole lot, but I do get to watch at least enough ESPN personally to have a working knowledge of sports. One of the major stories that has been talked about within like the last week that struck my fancy was this little number from the NBA. Those of you who are fans of the Knicks, brace yourselves. Straight from the NY Post. As if this season wasn't embarrassing enough, Knicks owner James Dolan showed his thin skin, tearing into a lifelong 72-year-old fan who criticized Dolan and his dreadful team in an email. Instead of taking the much-deserved critique in stride about a club that is 10-41, the eccentric team owner responded last month with the email equivalent of a flagrant foul, going as far as accusing the fan of being alcoholic. Direct quote from James Dolan here. Start rooting for the Nets because Knicks don't want you. And the for comparison's sake, this is what the fan had written to James Dolan. As a Knicks fan for in excess of 60 years, I am utterly embarrassed by your dealings with the Knicks. Sell them so the fans can at least look forward to growing them in a positive direction. Okay, now, to be fair, that is harsh, but it's fair harsh. Because, as mentioned earlier when I was reading from the story,
he isn't even swearing, God.
The Knicks suck. The Knicks suck. Going further down the story, Bierman further said, at one stage, I thought you did a wonderful thing. You acquired everything from your dad. However, since then, it has been all downhill. You're working with Isaiah Thomas and everything else regarding the Knicks. Bringing on Phil Jackson was a positive beginning, but lowballing Steve Kerr was a disgrace to the Knicks. The bottom line is that you merely continue to interfere with the franchise. Again, harsh, but fair, and not a hint of expletive anywhere in that. This is very even.
I think if a person was drunk, they would probably throw a lot more F-bombs than this guy did.
Yeah, and it makes it even worse when you look at one of the things James Dolan said back to the guy was that I just celebrated, and this is a direct quote, I just celebrated my 21st year of sobriety. Maybe you should try it. Okay, alcoholism is a serious thing. It is a disease. It is not something you throw around as a label at people whom you disagree with.
There's not really anything more to be said on my end here, honestly. I think the guy is pretty much on the hot seat anyways as far as NBA coaches go. So
well, no, here's the thing. He's the owner of the team. The only way he's getting out of the Knicks are if he chooses to sell the team, or, as in the case of Donald Sterling, the NBA basically puts the boot to his ass.
This guy's the owner of the Knicks?
That is the owner.
First off, you know how much I watch the NBA, which is really not much, unless if it's an Antonio Spurs game.
Yeah, he is the owner of the Knicks. Phil Jackson, Hall of Fame NBA coach, multiple titles with the likes of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. He is the general manager. And actually the coach right now is former Laker, also former Oklahoma City Thunder player, Derek Fisher. It could have been Steve Kerr, but apparently Steve Kerr got lowballed, and then he ended up going to, I can't remember what team in the West. The Golden State Warriors. He went to the Golden State Warriors, which, by the way, pretty good team. They've got Steph Curry out there. They're, if I remember correctly, at this point, they have the best record in the Western Conference, if not the NBA. So, they're doing pretty well for themselves. The Knicks, not so much. And, yeah, the only way this is going to end with Dolan and the Knicks is if he either chooses to sell the team, or if, like Donald Sterling, he does something so supremely stupid that the NBA decides to kick him out. Suffice it to say, this next year for the Knicks is going to be a fun watch. On the more positive side of things, let's shift over to college basketball. We have, at this point, I believe we still have two undefeated teams. One in men's basketball, one in women's basketball. One of them being the Kentucky Wildcats, coached by John Calipari, who kind of has got a reputation for coaching teams of mercenaries, one-and-done college students. But it's working. He's winning a lot of games. He's getting closer and closer to losing every time. But they're still finding ways to win. And last I checked on the women's side, Princeton was still undefeated. Unfortunately, the favored team of some of my friends, the South Carolina Lady Gamehawks, not undefeated anymore, but they lost to UConn, who is pretty much the perennial power for women's college basketball. So I can't say that's a bad loss. And personally, I've been following more of the Big 12 college basketball, or as I like to call it, the Big -2, because there's only 10 teams in the Big 12. That's going with that little piece of false advertising in your name. So I've been keeping an eye on teams like Kansas and Iowa State, who, despite being a horrible football school, Iowa State's actually a really, really great basketball school. In fact, they're the only team in the Big 12 that's beaten Kansas so far, at least as far as I can remember.
I'm a big Mountain West Conference fan, so I keep track of teams like San Diego State, obviously UNLV, probably the most famous team to come out of the Mountain West Conference right now. Boise State, Colorado State. And I also look at mid-majors like Wichita State. And even though they don't call them mid-majors, they technically still are because they're from the Western Coast Conference. Gonzaga, BYU, St. Mary's, Davidson, and other teams like that.
I've also been keeping a little bit of an eye on the American Conference on the basketball side, mostly because a team from my home state of Oklahoma, the Tulsa Hurricane, named after a weather phenomenon that we actually don't somehow experience in Oklahoma. They're making a really good run of it in that conference. In fact, if I remember correctly, from the last I had checked, they're actually still undefeated in the American Conference. So they're on a pretty good track to being in the NCAA tournament, it appears. There's one very notable team, though, is not going to be in the NCAA tournament. The Syracuse Orangemen. Part of the reason for that is that in recent years there's been some academic issues there in that university regarding the basketball team. So in order to get out ahead of the NCAA, Syracuse decided to ban itself from postseason play, which means they will not be in NCAA tournament. They won't be in the NIT. They won't even be in that third one that I can never remember the name of because it's so damn irrelevant. Seriously, what is the name of it? I can't remember. It's like third tier college basketball tournament. It's also the newest one. College Basketball Invitational, I think? Something like that?
Yeah, it's the College Basketball Invitational, and there's something like the CIT, the College Invitational Tournament, I believe.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Not even the third and fourth tier tournaments Syracuse is going to be in by their own volition. Again, kind of getting it out of head of the way from the NCAA, because if they didn't do it, odds are the NCAA would have laid the smack down themselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. As far as college sports right now, that's really all there is.
A lot of baseball. You don't watch baseball.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of baseball, but I do. There is actually one thing from the baseball world I want to talk about, and it's from the Little League World Series. There was this team from the Chicago area, Jackie Robinson West, that did really, really well. In fact, they won their regional tournament and the U.S. championship last year. And they went pretty darn far in the Little League World Series tournament last year. Unfortunately, all those titles and all those wins have now been taken away from them by Little League International because they were using players from a different district. Which means all those kids that were out there on the field, playing their hearts out, winning the adulation of thousands and millions of people, getting to go to the White House and meet President Barack freaking Obama, have now had that stripped away from them. And basically having the title of cheaters put on them for reasons that those kids likely did not have any control over.
Well, I've been hearing some things in the comments section that were saying something like the kids kind of knew all along, but they were told to keep it hush.
Oh,
but talking about
you know what the easiest way to ruin a conspiracy is? Bring more people into the conspiracy. The more people you have sharing a secret, the more likely it is that secret will get out. It is a fact of nature. there will inevitably be someone who cannot shut up. So, if the kids did have any kind of involvement in this, I think the worst that would have happened would have been, maybe these kids went to school with some of the kids who were actually living in that district. Maybe they went to the same school because of school districting being a thing in and of itself. And, maybe they played baseball with them like on the playground or something, and one of the kids went up to the coaches and went, hey, is there any possible way we can get this team on their team? I'm really good friends with him. I'd really like to play with him in the Little League. And then the adults look at the district map and they see, well, crap, this kid's out of district. Okay, so if we say to the kids that, yeah, there's been redistricting and that kid is now in this district, then yeah, we can bring him in. In that case, the major amount of culpability still is on the adults, because it's not the kids who conspired to do this. Like I said, the worst it would be is a kid going to the coaches and saying, hey, I want to play with my friend. Is there any way we can get him on the team? They don't know about the districts. They don't care. They're there to play baseball.
Yeah. I get what you mean there. There really isn't much more to be said about it.
Yeah. Leave the kids alone. But the adults, you can bash all you want. Well, we're not quite done with the stupid quite yet. We do have silly news of the week, a couple of pieces of things that just make us go, what? And also a dumb tweet of the week. And we'll get back to that in a little bit here on Casual Mode. Gentlemen, it's now time to give our final thought podcast for this week. What we want to do is leave you with a little bit of hilarity, maybe a little more stupidity to laugh at as well. So let's start with a little piece of silly news this week. This one actually comes from the Independent UK news outlets, but it happened in Australia. The headline goes, cross-dressing robber holds up McDonald's in Australia. Rather than put a stocking over his head like so many thieves of yesteryear, one dress-loving male in Australia decided to slip on some fishnets on his slender legs whilst robbing a McDonald's. Australian police have now revealed surreal closed-circuit television's tape of the moment that a cross-dressing robber held up a fast food restaurant in Melbourne on Sunday morning, threatening to blow the place up. The man was wearing a blonde wig, pink shawl, fishnet stockings, and high heels when he walked into a branch of McDonald's in Laverton North around 7:45 a.m. on February the 8th. It is alleged he then approached the counter and demanded cash from the clerk while holding what he claimed was a detonator in a paper cup. The blonde bombshell was certainly living up to her name. Okay.
Yay.
I'm not gonna read this whole story, but I do want to bring out one other line. The very last line. It's not known whether the man was forced into attempted thievery after a failed drag deal. You can put puns in the headlines all you want. Leave the jokes out of the story. In the immortal words of Jack Webb, just the facts, ma'am. I would also like to let you know that as a matter of official policy here at Casual Mode, we do not kink shame, and if you are a person who likes to dress in clothes that is generally considered not belonging to your own gender, we do not care. That is your business. You do you. Somehow, I don't think that's the reason why this guy was doing that. Somehow, I think he just thought, well, if I'm going to wear the stockings, I might as well wear them properly.
Are you trying for an Australian accent there or a British one?
Yes, my apologies to my Australian friends. I do not do a very good Australian accent at all. Uh, but yeah, the only I and it, yeah, he decides. Well, if I'm going to use the stock for this thievery, I might as well wear him the proper way. But I still have to hide my identity somehow. So he finds like all these different pieces and like puts them together. I don't think he really put into any thought into his wardrobe choice, especially not looking at the still frame of the video. There's no fashion decision there. I mean, it's just kind of cobbled together. He's clearly not necessarily dressing in this because it's something he likes dressing in. It's just he thought apparently stocking over his head wasn't good enough. He had to wear the stockings proper.
He doesn't even look like a good-looking drag queen, honestly. I've seen plenty of better ones.
Yeah, I know some people who are transgender rather than transvestite, who they look awesome, and I'm very glad to be friends with them because they are legitimately awesome people. This guy looks like shit. Pardon the abundance of that expletive there, but he does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should go ahead and go on now to the next segment.
Yeah, we do have one other little piece of hilarity. This one found by David, so take it away, if you will.
Yeah, I posted this on my Facebook wall last night, and I just put down no. And if you see the reason why, it is a advertisement from Rent-A-Center. It's one of those. I think it looks like it's a newspaper, but I'm not entirely sure about that. It could be just one of those advertisements that you get in the mail, the mail order advertisements that come in for me every Wednesday.
Yeah, the ad circular.
And it looks like it is for a 32 gigabyte Samsung Galaxy S5, where it can be all yours, rent to own, for just $29.99 a week. 90 days, same as cash price of $829, or you can pay it off in 78 weekly worry-free payments for a total price of $2,339.22. And why the poor are still poor? Well,
yeah.
I actually recently just bought my Samsung Galaxy S5 a couple weeks ago. It was $585 at Cricket, and then they gave me $105 off, so I bought it for $480.
Yeah, you can buy Galaxy S5s unlocked for less than half of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you know what the sad part is?
What?
There are people who are actually going to do this.
Yeah.
There are people who have already done this.
Yeah, and first off, it's not a retail price of $829. I know the 32 gigabyte is more expensive than the 16 gigabyte S5, but this is just wow. Mine's a 16 gigabyte, so maybe there really is that much of a difference in price. I don't know.
Okay, rule of thumb, people, if for some reason you ever decide to lease to own something, first of all, don't. Second of all, if you do not rent to own the smaller things. Here's why. If you rent to own big things like pieces of furniture, televisions, barring either an accident or theft, you are not going to lose those things very easily. But if you rent to own a smartphone or a tablet or something smaller like that, basically something that is not going to be staying in one place, you can lose that a lot more easily. And if you lose that, it's on you. You don't, there may make some allowances for theft at least places, But if you lose it, you're paying for something you lost. Because, I mean, they don't have any way of knowing that the reason why you quote-unquote lost it was because you sold it to somebody else or you had to pawn it to get money. They don't know that. So the best thing to do for you is to not rent to own small things.
Yeah. And there's also, and I can see something here at the bottom right, this is an Ashley, I have no idea what it is, 3-piece youth. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure that they jacked up the price about 300% on that one, too.
Yeah, well, there is. Yeah, also leasing to own does have a premium involved, and some various places that do leasing to own have better premiums than others. But, you know, and I have to sidetrack here because I work at a place that does lease to own. And around close to Christmas time, there was this one person who came in and came to me looking at all this various different stuff. He wanted to see, you know, what he was pre-approved for leasing, because he wanted to get like a TV and an entertainment system, entertainment center, video game console, and some things. And when it failed to go through, he got mad at me, and the reason why he was mad was because he was wanting to lease Christmas presents. I'm going to let that sink in for a bit. Yes, I actually said that. He was going to lease Christmas presents. And even more so, he did not get why I was dumbfounded by this. I could not even hide the incredulity on my face, and he was just like, what? Do you not know how much wrong this can go? Do you not know how terrible a thing this could end up being? Because you're renting to own Christmas presents. What happens if you can't make payments? I'll tell you what happens. The people from Rent-A-Center come in, or wherever, come in their truck. They come, and they take your stuff away. Now, consider that this stuff is Christmas presents. Say you've leased a Wii U for your kids. You fail to make a payment. They're sitting there in the living room in the middle of playing, say, Super Smash Brothers. And these people in the blue shirts come in and take the Wii U away. And the kids look at you and they ask you one single question. Why, Daddy? Why are they taking our Wii U away? And then you have to tell them, well, it's because I didn't technically buy these, I leased to own them, and I missed a payment on these items, so they have to go away now. I got two words for you. Childhood trauma. So yeah, there's another rent-to-own thing to remember. Don't lease Christmas presents. If you do, you are a terrible person. Or exceptionally stupid. Possibly both. Alright, one last bit of dumb and hilarity. We'd like to share some of the dumbest tweets for around the Twitter world. We're going to start off by, since my sense of humor is very self-deprecating, we're going to throw me under the bus. There's this hashtag going around in lieu of Valentine's Day, which I don't particularly like, but that's a long story. The hashtag is, what is love in 4 words? Well, it is a well-known fact that I am a dork. So, my response was, hashtag, what is love in 4 words? Baby, don't hurt me!
Well, kind of fits, actually. I don't know what you're expecting.
I'm sure it's not the worst thing to be attached to that hashtag, but it had to be done. and I am the one who did it.
Well, at least you didn't go all emo on the hashtag, so consider that a minor victory right there. And quite honestly, that'd probably be the best dumb tweet that we are going to come up with. So
yeah, and the alternative would have been the Jay Giles Band reference. Love stinks. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was Jay Giles Band.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Same people did Angel in the Centerfold. Yeah.
I like that song.
Yeah. We do have another dumb tweet of the week. David, if you would share that one, please.
Yes. Okay. This is not really that's being done this week. I'm going to be putting a lot more research into that in the next one. But this was at least somewhat in the ballpark. This one's about a month ago. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm just going to say the tweet. Menstruation is called period because back in the day when women's bodies weren't as polluted, all it was a tiny dot.
You can almost smell the misogyny coming out of that.
I have no idea, like, what people think. I mean, they do realize that period is not just a punctuation mark. I mean, period is used to be considered. It's also used to describe a measurement of time. And
yeah, like in sports, for instance, in hockey, you have 3 periods. First period, second period, third period, and then overtime if you need it. And
yeah. And
I believe we have one more, don't we?
Yeah. For those of you who were probably none of you were fans of my blog, you would know that I rant on a lot about young Earth creationists and a little bit also about old Earth creationists, which when I was still somewhat religious, I was an old Earth creationist / theistic evolutionist. But I'm not going to get to that. That's way too deep for this show.
Yeah, we here at Casual Mode do not particularly care what religion you are, as long as you're not a dick on it.
Right. Anyways, regardless of what you believe, if you think the Earth is 6,000 years old or 4.7 billion or a trillion years old, just be glad that you're not a member of Twitter Earth Creationism, is what I'm going to point at, or Twit Earth. There are multiple tweets out here during the New Year, which I was going to mention on my wall, actually. Pretty much just saying, I will just take one of these tweets right here and say, I cannot believe that the Earth is 2015 years old. Happy birthday, Earth.
So, that whole Julius Caesar thing, the guy that we have one of our months here named after, I guess that never happened then, huh?
Well, these Twitter creationists, they know their stuff. They definitely know too that Texas is a country, as is Africa. So Scott Steiner, please add that to the list of countries that you have wrestled.
Well, to be fair, Drew Carey once made the accidental mistake of calling Africa a country as well, but he already got his mocking for that years ago on Whose Line Is It Anyway? So,
and these people have a tendency to, whenever they get a new credit card, love to post it on YouTube, card number and all.
Yeah, and I believe we were talking about this when we were setting up this. What they said is just amazing.
Yeah, my credit card finally came in. Praise Jesus.
Okay, I can find a few things wrong with that. First, of course, not censoring your credit card number. You're on the fast track to identity theft there, and I don't think even LifeLock can save you. Secondly, My new credit card came in. Praise Jesus. Yes, praise Jesus that you're even further in debt than you were before.
Oh.
And you just know that within a week or two of them getting that card, that thing got maxed out.
Matter of fact, just remind me on the next show, I'm going to look up. There was this one guy that I subscribed to. I'm going to have to look up his name as well. I'm going to show you a series of tweets that's very similar to this one that I think that our listeners, if they have not seen it, will absolutely love. That's related to this credit card phenomenon. But these are what I call your Twit Earth Creationists. They make the young Earth Creationists of old sound like Albert Einstein in comparison.
Well, if we haven't made you think during the show, I certainly hope that we've made you laugh.
I can't believe this Earth is 2015 years old. Happy birthday!
Yeah, so, about that whole, people coming across the land bridge in the North America thing, didn't really happen, huh? Native Americans just, popped up out of nowhere somewhere around the 1400s when the Europeans decided to start exploring the Earth, huh? What's the speed of light? 120 miles an hour?
I would really feel bad for the people of NASCAR.
Well, this has been a real fun show. I've had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, me too.
Like I said, this is going to be the first, hopefully, of very many of these episodes. So, thank you for joining us here on Casual Mode. Coming up next week, we'll have more great stuff for you, including, more than likely, we may not necessarily do this often. We are going to talk a little bit of pro wrestling because there have been some fun things going on in WWE recently, and they have a pay-per-view coming up on the 22nd that we kind of want to get out in front of. WWE Fastlane.
And I also will interview Major League Pokemon champion Alex Carbo.
All right. So until next time, I'm Jeremy.
And I am David.
Thank you for listening to the Casual Mode. Please enjoy this and other great podcasts, blogs, and other such things on the FNX network, fnx.network. Until next week, later, y'all.